Possibly the last big action-adventure game for the massively successful PS4 before next generation hits in 2020. Days Gone sets the bar for first-party exclusives in 2019, and what was cautious in first showings is now in the wild. But does this open-world zombie game live up to the expectations of its little and bigger brothers? This is Colt Eastwood. Thanks for checking out this video. This is a bit of a late review, but I wanted to have my full attention on PS4's biggest game of the year and review it as an Xbox fan and score this game based off of its genre. I score games based on 4 criteria: story, gameplay, presentation, and replayability or multiplayer when applicable. If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Now that the business is out of the way, let's get to this review of Days Gone. Story. Taking place in the forests of Oregon in the Pacific Northwest under the shadow of Mount Hood and under the demise of a zombie apocalypse. Days Gone tells a story of society and the comforts of life ripped apart by a horde of infected that drove survivors into the wilderness. Deacon St. John, a biker hardened by a broken society and softened, finds motivation to help others along the way. Society has been broken down to the very fabric of earn your keep, as work camps provide safety for those that cultivate and bring supplies to the community trying to survive. Days Gone best tells its story through Deacon's mutters under his breath as he scavenges through the world, talks to survivors, and helps those surrounded by danger. The story is told with flashbacks in disjointed pieces to allow the player to put together how Deacon's life went from happily married to desperately surviving. As most zombie games go, Days Gone does a great job of bringing narrative to the open world. Gameplay. Days Gone is a third-person open-world survival action-adventure game with an emphasis on motorcycle traversal, stealth mixed with melee and gunplay combat, mostly in that order. Days Gone is best played with caution, taking the time to stay quiet, get a drop on human and zombie enemies. Gunplay is best avoided as a first response because ammo can be scarce, noisy, and the gunplay is not completely fine-tuned. Days Gone is much like a middle ground between Xbox's State of Decay 2 and PlayStation's The Last of Us. In fact, Days Gone does both of these games' combat and gameplay quite well. Days Gone is not a fast-paced game, but slowly paced, with caution being its strong point, over the run and gun of games like World War Z or Dead Rising. But gunplay can be very satisfied under your own terms, when you have the advantage over surprise enemies. Combat is under the use of a melee weapon that wears out, rifles, shotguns, and pistols, and throwable Molotovs, pipe bombs, and grenades. Stealth gunplay is possible with crafted suppressors and a crossbow with berserk bolts. Crafting is done on the fly with a cumbersome weapon wheel requiring 3 button holds, but keeps your character equipped in the field even during combat. The motorcycle handles quite well, but feels much like Red Dead Redemption as you feel vulnerable to enemies while in the saddle, needing to set down the bike to take on threats or just avoid them altogether. Overall, the gameplay is solid, fun, but with very slow pacing. But it's intended to be methodical, and it hones in the feeling of survival quite well. Days Gone feels like State of Decay 2 mixed with The Last of Us 2 with some Far Cry elements thrown in. All of this is a compliment. Presentation. Days Gone is a gorgeous game highlighted by sun-drenched and crisp rainy forest scenery of a highly detailed open world. Beautifully destroyed, abandoned civilian houses and buildings are carefully detailed with the mess of zombies running every human out of town. The animations in Days Gone are very reminiscent of Ben Studio's work with Uncharted several years ago. Deacon's movements, gunplay, and melee takedowns feel very much like Uncharted and The Last of Us, which feels right at home on the PlayStation. Cutscenes outside of gameplay are well done, shot like a movie or biker TV series with lifelike characters, but Days Gone is plagued with out-of-sync voice and audio work, sometimes putting the voice line 3 seconds after the mocap delivers them.
There you go, that's perfect.
And it doesn't smell very good.
Days Gone is telling a great story that puts you in the place of people that left it all behind to survive the zombie apocalypse. But the excellent acting from Sam Witwer as Deacon St. John is robbed by audio sync issues that take a great story moment and turn it into a dubbed, campy, skippable moment. The world is littered with garbage and the remnants of a broken society and the wandering zombies called Freakers, with the gathered hordes meant to be completely avoided. Zombie character models often repeat, but lumber and scamper with frightening realism once you've caught their attention. Days Gone has a photo mode, and for good reason. The game routinely looks amazing, and it's a needed feature to show off the impressive visuals Ben Studio has created, but audio issues and the occasional graphical bug keep it from perfection. Replayability. Days Gone, like much of the big PlayStation exclusives, does not have a multiplayer mode or cooperative mode, as it is strictly a single-player story-based experience. State of Decay 2 on the Xbox does not tell a compelling story or immerse you with an incredible story like Days Gone. It is much more related in that aspect to The Last of Us, at the cost of enjoying Days Gone with friends or possibly playing a literal horde mode cooperatively with 3 friends, much like the recent World War Z. Days Gone must be played alone. Once the story is done, you are left with an emergent moments in the open world, finding the remaining freaker nests and upgrading your motorcycle and character in lieu of the remaining trophies. Ben Studio was approached by another developer to create a multiplayer mode for Days Gone, but the game was under a 4 to 5 year development cycle and had one delay already. Instead, what was released was a focused, story-driven, single-player experience that feels good to play alone, which actually reinforces the feeling of being abandoned in an apocalypse. The game takes around 30 hours to complete, maybe more. Days Gone is a great experience the first time around, but I'm not sure I'd play through it again, knowing that more games out there will fill in the rest of the blanks, like World War Z, The Last of Us 2, and Dying Light 2. I've played and enjoyed some of the best and the worst zombie games over the past decade, and playing Days Gone felt like an amalgamation of some of my favorite open-world adventure games mixed with some of my favorite zombie survival games. I rate games based off of 4 criteria: story, presentation, gameplay, and replayability, and then averaging those 4 scores to come to the final conclusion that Days Gone on PS4, the biggest PlayStation exclusive of 2019, gets a review score of 7.3. This is Colt Eastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this review of Days Gone. I really enjoyed the game, and it's definitely worth playing on the PS4. After my review went up, a new update was added days after the initial release of the game to address some of the bugs and the glitches. But for me personally, occasional bugs and glitches rarely ruin the overall enjoyment of a game. I'd recommend this game to anyone with a PS4, and hopefully you can get it on sale, but I enjoyed it at full price regardless. If you like this video and review, like and subscribe to the channel. I do weekly content on here, and I try to provide more than just information talked over gameplay. If you'd like to talk to me or ask me a question, add me on Xbox Live, PSN, or Twitter at Colt Eastwood. Let me know if you enjoyed Days Gone or plan to after seeing this review, and if you don't plan on it, try and remember in that comment section to be nice.